This is the full interview with one of Nova's neighbors. Yeah, whenever you're ready, we can begin.
All right, so first impressions of Nova. When we moved into the house, I did not know who lived next door. Basically, when I moved in, I saw him for the first time, and I was kind of questioning of who he was, and basically, he was just acting weird when I first met him. To be honest, I just didn't know who he was. He was sometimes coming out of the house and yelling at his dog and just being very loud and obnoxious. And I kind of just put up with it for the first bit. And after that, I saw on TikTok his face, and I was like, wait a second, that is my neighbor. And at work, I asked people if they knew this person because I saw he had a high following account. So some of my coworkers already previously knew him, and then they couldn't believe that he was actually my neighbor. And that's kind of how it all started, was him just being loud and obnoxious, me seeing his face. And then he was filming out on his front lawn as well. So I happened to just find him on TikTok in my For You page. And that's kind of just how it all began.
I see. And if you don't mind me asking, what's kind of like the approximate time you moved in, like a few months ago?
It was in last October.
Through your time, as his neighbor, have you ever seen? Do you know what a swatting is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, has that ever happened to Nova? As far as you've lived there?
As far as I've lived there, no. But a neighbor across the street told me that it happened last January. So I moved in October. That previous January, he got swatted on. So after she told me that information, I looked it up on TikTok and saw some information about his SWAT. And that's the most I've seen, but I didn't know he even existed until I moved into this location.
Okay, I understand. And what's it like being this guy's neighbor? What are the kind of experiences you have with him?
So I've had very small, minimal talks with him. I've actually only been friendly with him because I trying to keep my I don't know what he's like, and his anger that I've seen, I don't want him to endanger my family. So I'm not trying to provoke him at all because I don't know what he'll do, to be honest. So I've seen his temper tantrums. It's woken me up in the middle of the night. I don't really, not trying to provoke the guy. So the most I can do is watch. And then if he comes onto my property, I try and record it. Because if he's trying to catch his dog from running away or accidentally ordering groceries to my front door, stuff like that. And DoorDashes will occasionally come to my place. And then I've also had impounding officials come in and try and remove certain vehicles from his property.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you said you've had a few minimal talks with him. Is that like the extent of your direct contact with him?
Yeah. So I've had multiple talks about his dog with him because his dog tried biting my ankles one time when I was working on our fence. And I've talked. He's apologized for a dog coming over trying to bite me and being aggressive and stuff, but it's just a Chihuahua, so it doesn't really scare me. But other than that, though, when we first moved in, and I was cooking barbecue out in the backyard or just out there with my family, he would try and talk over the fence to me, and I would just keep it short. The most that I remember talking to him about was he locked himself out of his house. And he was trying to figure out how to get back in, and he ended up crawling through his window.
I remember that.
Yeah, he basically opened the window and then started just shoveling out DoorDash meals to make an entry for himself. And the whole time he basically apologizing that we had to witness that, and he's like, "Don't you hate that don't you hate when you lock yourself out of the house? I'm like, yep, totally get it. Like, but the biggest thing is the cameras too. Like my backyard camera, I've tried to hit privacy modes on it so it doesn't register all the DoorDash drivers that he gets. But a lot of times when he has tantrums, he triggers my camera and it just automatically records. So
Wow. Okay, and you mentioned that previously as well, saying it wakes you up in the middle of the night. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
So his dog likes to run away a lot. This is the most that he basically wakes us up. He will scream for his dog's name. He won't come down the porch unless he has to. So his dog will run down the porch and run off in the front lawn or go across the street, come into my lawn, whatever. And he'll, instead of going down and getting his dog, he's basically just yelling at the top of his lungs, screaming for his dog named Mouse. So he's screaming Mouse, 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 like over and over again. So hearing that in the middle of the night is not fun because it wakes my family up.
Yeah,
but
sorry to hear that.
And then whenever his aunt likes to come over and basically make him clean and basically helps him out, give him groceries. It seems like she's actually a nice lady and she wants to kick Gabriel out, but she can't because it's not her son. It's just her sister's son. So,
okay.
Basically, whenever she comes over, though, there's either a big tantrum fight from Nova, and he throws a fit, and his aunt basically doesn't put up with his bullshit and puts him back in his place.
My goodness.
So,
I see that.
And then there was a night a couple weeks ago. We were dead asleep. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and it seemed like he was drunk. And he was like singing or being super loud at night, making these weird noises. And by the time I got up to wonder what was going on, he went back inside already. But very brief moments, he comes out and then goes back into his house.
Okay. And kind of segues into my next question. Is he outside often, or is it only when he like has to bring in a DoorDash order, or is, like you said, his dog escapes or things like that?
Yeah, so it's either the dogs. He's outside quite a bit, but after I kind of started putting some information out there, he hasn't came out of the house at all. He's like as of today, I haven't seen him once or heard him once, so he just has been in there the whole time. But is that typically he's out? Yeah, it's pretty well. Not really. To me, it seems like he sleeps or stays up all night, and then he sleeps till like midday. And so like normally he's coming out of the house around afternoon type time frame, but other than that though, he's normally outside quite a bit making content. Like I've caught him multiple times making WWE videos with his speaker on as loud as it can be in the neighborhood, and he's just walking. Yeah.
God.
So, and I was doing yard work last week, and I was weed whacking, and he was making a video outside testing his microphone. So,
yeah, I saw the video of him.
He's normally outside making videos, and he's in the backyard a lot in the summertime, making videos back there as well.
Okay, I see. And with the disrupting everyone, the speakers on max and yelling out, I assume the other neighbors know of him, at least not exactly about his online presence, but his presence in the neighborhood. Do you know what their thoughts are and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm one of the youngest people on the blocks. I would say that most of my neighbors are pretty older, or they're a lot older than I am, so they don't intend to be on the internet, I don't think. They know of him. I know the neighbor across his house has reported to the city hall multiple times about mice and just trash in his front lawn and not cutting his front lawn. And the neighbor next to him, that's not next to me, obviously, but his other neighbor. He has mowed Nova's house a couple times just to make his house look decent because it'll get knee high, and Nova won't do anything about it. So,
Okay.
basically, if no one chips in as charity in the neighborhood, someone will mow the lawn just so the neighborhood looks a little bit nicer.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, all the neighbors I've talked to know about him, and they know he's been an issue for a while, and I think they're just counting down the days until law enforcement finally takes him away.
Of course. And how much does his house stick out? Because from what I've seen, it's like covered in garbage.
Yeah, so it's definitely the worst one on the block by far.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to not be that way. According to my other neighbor, they said that about 10 years ago, they moved in, and the guy that has a house fixed it up and made it look nice. And it was actually a decent house until they moved in. And he was upset when he sold the house because they just completely trashed it.
Okay.
So someone pranked him with all these USPS boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you've seen them.
Yes, yeah.
But they are a big nuisance, according to both my neighbors across the street and the one to the other side of me, because they're afraid that in the wintertime, if they stay there, it will attract mice. And it's already been a known issue with mice in his household. The previous winter, before I got here, I had reports tell me that mice are bad in this house because of his house. Basically, they were coming from Nova's house trying to get into this house. So I had to do some stuff around the house, basically seal everything up, because I was afraid this winter I was going to get mice from his house. And the neighbor across the street has seen mice coming from his house just in the winter times. So she said she's gone to the city twice now because of his house being trash, or mice was a big one as well.
Yeah, and like with that, do you have like any idea why his house hasn't been condemned yet? Because there's no way those living conditions are legal.
So I think there is a social worker that comes by every now and then, so I've heard, but I personally have not seen it. I completely agree with you. It's unacceptable, and there's no one over here to basically say, hey, these living conditions are unsafe. I mean, the fire department's been inside there.
Jeez.
They didn't say anything. They just wore masks and deal with it, I think. But until they get super sick or someone reports it, I don't think anyone will really investigate into it,
I see. And with the fire department, I think you mentioned they've come, 4 times in the past 2 weeks? Is that
Yeah.
every time? You said it was every time his mother needs to get up the ramp?
Yeah, so his mom in late March, according to Nova, when he was talking about it to the agent outside, he said that she OD'd or got hurt on weed, apparently, from what Nova was saying. I don't know how entirely true that statement was from Nova, but she was put in rehab at Iron Horse Rehab in Coeur d'Alene for 30 days. You said what?
When was that?
It was late March.
Late March. Right.
And then his mom just came back a couple weeks ago. So she was there for around 30 days and then got released. And when she was released back to the house, that same day, I actually asked Nova when he was trying to talk to me outside when I was doing yard work. I asked him when his mom was coming home, and he said she was coming home today, and I was surprised because there wasn't a ramp, there wasn't nothing until the very last minute until she arrived. And when she got home, he tried to push her up the ramp one time, and she fell. And she basically was lying on the gravel for about 30 minutes until the fire department came
He
to
didn't help
pick
her
her
up.
up. He tried, and he couldn't help her. And
Jesus.
his aunt couldn't help her. The aunt was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time. The aunt and Nova were trying to get her up, couldn't get her up. So they called the fire department. Fire department came by, picked her up, and put her in the house. And after that, they haven't even tried to push her up the ramp anymore. They just, when they get home from one of her doctor appointments, I'm assuming, they just leave her out in the driveway until the fire department comes to basically put her in the house.
So every single time, they don't bother trying to push her up. They just call the fire department.
Correct.
My goodness. And
This last time, he said, "No, you're good." This last time, Nova told the fire department that they were getting a ramp this next week to help better the situation. But I'm afraid the ramp, whatever ramp he's talking about, either won't fit or he's still not going to be able to push her up.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that is crazy. And how often does she go out? Do they go out? As far as
Ever since she got back from rehab, I haven't seen her drive a vehicle or do anything. The aunt took away her vehicle.
Oh.
So it seems to me like the aunt. I'm assuming it's the aunt. It sounds like it's the aunt. Seems like she's the only responsible one out of the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the aunt drives their car and basically doesn't give it to them because I don't think she's supposed to be driving, so she doesn't want her to try and drive, I'm assuming. But Nova can't drive either. I think he doesn't have a license, I don't believe so.
No, he doesn't. So it's always what you assume to be his aunt driving?
Yeah, so the aunt will come by every Friday afternoon, and I'm talking about every Friday. They go out somewhere. She takes Nova out somewhere out in the wilderness to either Dave and Buster's or wherever he wants to go, and that's like his one time a week he gets to go out on his own.
I see. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, if he has anything else, he'll Uber. But the one day he got the Uber driver to help push his mom into the car, and that was just. I thought she was gonna fall. It was bad.
My goodness! Wow. Something that he used to do a lot is walk. He used to walk everywhere. Have you seen him walk much?
So the farthest I've seen him walk is to my mailbox and turn around and go back, and that's it.
Why would he walk
that's
to
it's probably 60 feet.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Was it to retrieve his mail? Did it get sent to you?
No, he was doing a TikTok.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he was walking and doing a TikTok, and then after he was done, he turned back around, and then was editing or whatever.
Okay. Is that the picture that you sent? The one of him on his porch, just kind of facing the door and standing there?
I think it was one of them. Yeah, that was after he was done. He was just standing on his porch, on his phone, making edits or whatever, and just walking back and forth on his porch.
Okay. Something else we kind of touched on a little bit earlier is him ordering stuff. Does he, from what you told me, does he order food a lot? And does he more often get groceries or DoorDash, takeout?
So he orders DoorDash 2 to 3 times a day. And it's either from 7-Eleven, 76, gas stations, small snacks and foods, or it is random restaurants around that he'll DoorDash. Very rarely does he come back with groceries. And if he does, it is he gets the groceries delivered to his house. He doesn't go out and get them.
Wow. 2 to 3 times a day? Really? Is that consistently?
Yeah, I actually had to turn off my front porch camera because I was catching so many vehicle drivers coming into his driveway, and it was like registering it as like detection note, like notified. So I was getting around 2 to 3 Uber drivers a day, or Uber Eats drivers, or DoorDash drivers a day.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I know is if they mess up his order, he'll try and refund the whole meal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just terrible. Like, it's none of the DoorDashers' fault.
Exactly.
So
with his conduct outside, has it ever given any of his neighbors trouble, as far as you know? Forgot to touch on that earlier.
yeah, so his front porch faces my back porch.
Mm-hmm.
So when I am doing, I've actually had to yell at him before because he was losing his mind and having a tantrum. And my kid was crying, and it was so loud that I think it was making my kid upset. And they were sleeping, and my kid woke up and was just crying. So I actually opened up my kitchen window and yelled at Nova to shut up. And he said he apologized, and his mom basically scolded him for it as well. Told him how he needed to calm down. But yeah, when it comes to yelling, I'm sure 2 to 3 houses down can hear him for how loud he is.
Jeez. What was the that specific tantrum about, if you remember?
That one was a Uber. He thought he was going to miss an Uber appointment or meetup. So it was for his mom and him, and I guess something happened where she couldn't fit in one of the cars. So they had to get a different Uber, and that's when he lost his mind. Was when they had to get a different Uber because the car didn't fit his mom.
So he was just screaming outside, at just to the sky, or at his mom, or
just that he kind of paces back and forth and just yells out loud.
Okay.
It's not really directed at anyone. It's kind of just he paces back and forth and just yells. Yeah, I think that's the one time so far that I've actually been frustrated with him.
I bet.
As being a neighbor, personally, because he woke up my kid and I was a little upset. So
yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear that. You mentioned his dog escapes quite a bit, but have you ever actually seen him? Well, I guess his mother can't anymore, but have you seen them walk the dog or any of their pets?
Never. So my neighbor that's been here for 25 years, I mow her lawn, I update her lawn, and I try and help her out with everything she can because she's an elderly woman. She told me when they first moved in, they actually had 2 dogs a while ago. And I guess their one dog, according to my neighbor, said that he threw a tantrum and kicked it so hard he killed it.
Whoa. I'm so sorry, could you repeat that?
So I don't know how true this is because I wasn't moved in here yet, but my elderly neighbor that's been here for a long time, and she's super religious, super nice. She said that Nova threw a tantrum and kicked the dog so hard it killed it.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
And that she said out of all the dog owners that shouldn't have dogs, he is one especially because she believed that he shouldn't own a dog after that incident.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeez. Oh,
and today, for example, his dog hasn't been let outside once. And a dog needs to go outside every now and then, to go to the bathroom. So not once today since I've been home. I've been awake since 7:00 this morning, and the dog has not been outside once. So
I'm just I'm
his
sorry.
his aunt will make Nova put on rubber gloves and clean up the dog shit and piss in the house because he does not take care of that dog at all.
Oh my god.
I've actually almost called animal control a couple times because it's ran off and tried biting me, and I feel bad for the dog. I really do.
Yeah,
Like,
no, of course. Jesus Christ.
I'm a guy that owns 2 dogs, and I love my dogs. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
adore them, take them on walks all the time. It just frustrates me to see that he's being so mean to that dog.
I bet. I'm just like flabbergasted. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure how true that
Mm-hmm.
if he did kick his dog or not. I have no idea.
Yes, of course.
I can't say for sure. That's just what my neighbor told me, and I
Mm-hmm.
honestly believe her because after seeing his tantrums and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised.
My God. Wow. Just wow. How is it like living with all of that going on right next to you?
Um, to be honest, it's kind of stressful at times. I try not to acknowledge it if I can. Um, my family and I are my main priority,
Yes, of
and
course.
all I want to do is just focus on them and protect them and do everything that I can. And it's hard knowing that there's like an online predator next door,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I have a daughter. And
Yeah.
like the internet is scary, and I don't want her to accidentally fall into the hands of someone like that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So
Jesus Christ.
like
Yeah.
stuff like that is hard. I after the agent came by, I was hoping that it would go by quickly and he would be in jail by now. And I'm just honestly hoping, counting down the days, to be honest, because I just want this stuff taken care of.
And with the agent that came by, could you kind of take us through that whole ordeal?
Yeah, so I was actually in the front lawn uh, spraying wasps
Mm-hmm.
at my house because I didn't want my daughter to get stung, so I was trying to kill off the wasps. And he pulled into their lot, and I was confused. I waved at him, and I was already outside. And when he was banging on Nova's door he said Gabriel at the time. He said, "Gabriel, please come out." He refused to come out at first,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking loud enough where I could just hear it. And it was just to the point where I kind of was in the garage and I was listening, and I wasn't like trying to, but then it was like so loud, and I was like, "What the hell's going on over there?" And so basically, the agent finally got him to come out.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's been there before, which I haven't seen him come before. That's the first time I've seen him, and that he had a stack of papers that he has to review with Nova,
Ooh.
and basically is going to ask him questions. And your name actually got brought up, and it kind of seemed like it triggered Nova a little bit.
Really?
He got upset, and he basically had to calm Nova down after that part. His dog kept on trying to run away as he was having these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So the agent was actually recalling the dog for Nova because Nova wouldn't come down the porch.
My goodness.
Other than that, though, the agent, my family heard him say FBI, and then we heard agent. So we didn't know if he was the FBI or just a local agent. So I honestly don't know who he was affiliated with. All I know is that he said to Nova that he was going to do an investigation, and all of these files that he had were going into a file for Nova.
Wow.
And that's the last time I've seen him. I haven't heard about him. Obviously Nova's still here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember him saying if he gets one more 14-year-old girl report coming from Nova, like victim report, that he will come in with full warrants for Nova's arrest. And if he finds anything, he'll get federal and state crimes charged against him.
So I guess that kind of plays into, my next question, which is, what topics did they cover? Is that something about victim reports from young girls? And I guess my name was mentioned too. I think you said something about the list earlier.
Yeah, so it first started talking about the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically told Nova to quit the internet, completely go cold turkey on it because it's gonna not do him a favor at all. Like he's digging himself a bigger hole basically,
Mm-hmm.
and Nova basically said he can't because that's how he gets his source of income. And then he was asking Nova about the income of how much he makes for cameos, paracord, whatever, and he was saying that he makes $200 to $300 a month off of those. And the agent specifically told him that is not enough to live by. And he's like, "Do you understand me?" And Noah's like, "Yes." And then after that, they were talking about his mom, like, "Where's your mom at?" And that's when I heard him say that she's at Iron Horse Rehab for ODing. And after that topic of the mom and everything, the agent was super nice, by the way. Like, he handled it way better than I could have, like, asking those type of questions. I was honestly impressed with the agent.
Mm-hmm.
He was calm, writing stuff down. Nova was panicking and freaking out, and then the list came up and asked Nova if he knew about it, and he just said it was a names list, and then the agent was basically asking, "Is it a hit list?" And Nova said, "No, it's not. It's just people that I despise and trolls." And then he asked why his fake Speth in red, and he's like, Bloodspeth, and basically, and he's like, "Oh, he's my number one troll," and basically saying that he gets money from his content, and he's like number one on his troll list.
Wow.
So yeah, he basically just said that, like, you're stealing his content, and you're getting money from it. It should be illegal what you're doing.
He told that to the
And
cop.
then, yeah, and he also told the cop too. He was talking about other predators that the agent should be going after because they're worse.
Oh,
And
do you
he said there
remember?
was someone in Michigan or something. I can't remember the name he said, but he was talking about the name, and then the agent said, "Well, where does he live?" And he's like, "Oh, in Michigan." And he's like, "Well, that's not my problem. You're my problem."
Okay.
And
So,
continued to ask Nova about all these documents that he had, of them reports, all the chat rooms. He asked him multiple times about these chat rooms, about these 18 and under chat rooms and 18 plus, and how he
18 and under
verifies
chat
people.
rooms.
I don't know.
Oh,
He was
okay.
just
No, no.
asking about, like, hey, like, what's going on with these chat rooms? Like, do you know there's underage people in those chat rooms? Like, he was just asking stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
and there was a topic about child, like, saying, like, if he finds it, and he will be getting federal crime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. He was just asking questions if he knew about any of these things, and Nova denied all of them, and basically said, "Thanks for having this talk with me, and he'll be around." And basically said he's putting all that stuff into a file cabinet. And
Okay.
if anything comes up in the future, all those questions that he asked will basically be shown in court or whatever.
Do you have any idea who Uncle Drew is? Have you heard the name?
Yes, his uncle, yeah.
Yeah.
Nova and I actually had a talk about him a couple weeks ago. I was chopping firewood in my backyard, and I was stacking it. And he said that he used to do that with his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, "Cool, man," and continue to chuck wood, and basically put it up and stack it.
That was the end of that
But
conversation.
I was just saying, like, he basically was saying how he used to do that with his uncle,
Mm-hmm.
and it scared him. So if I do anything loud in the backyard, like chop wood, mow the lawn, start up my fireplace, anything like that, it scares Nova, and he actually comes
It
rushing outside
scares
every
him.
time. Yeah, it stresses him out and scares him, and he has like a little panic attack and comes outside and basically verifies on what's going on, and then that's about it, really.
Okay.
So but I was chopping wood. It scared him because he heard loud like noises. He came running outside. I shouldn't say running, but he stepped outside and asked what was going on. And I said, I'm chopping wood. And he said, I used to do that with my uncle and everything. And I've seen text messages with his uncle, what his uncle said about him. And I know his uncle passed away and everything, but I haven't heard too much about his name getting brought up over here.
Okay.
So
you never seen the gentleman, nothing like that?
No, I was told he passed away.
Yeah, okay. I see. And so I mean, with the him being scared when he hears something outside, what I'm assuming is he maybe thinks you're a troll. Have you seen any trolls per se around his or your property messing with him or recording? I know one dude straight up went into his backyard. Have you ever witnessed anything like that?
So, Nova, he gets scared because he does think it's trolls every time. If I am loud, you're completely right about that. And he recently bought another camera and installed it on my fence post, pointing his driveway because he was trying to catch these trolls from coming onto his lawn. And he asked me permission if he could install the camera on my fence post. And I said yes. I was like, if that makes you feel better, then whatever. And but it keeps falling down because of the wind every time, so he didn't install it safely. So
like screw it in.
No, he just placed it up there, and whenever there's any little small bit of wind, it blows it over into my yard. He grabs a trash picker, like a one where you don't have to bend over. And he grabs it and he reaches around my fence and grabs it every time. So, but I have seen those three individuals that showed up to his house the other day. I was in my living room and then heard some commotion and saw what was happening, and they basically were confronting about some girl at Highland Park, and after that they kind of just ran away. Like they literally ran down, and he said, yeah, that's right, you better run. And then like he screamed as loud as he could, and then I saw the individuals jump in their Ford Raptor that was parked outside. And they just drove off. So
that's funny. I'm sorry.
Like they parked not in front of my house, but the house next to Nova's on the other side, and they like put all the stuff. They basically turned off all their lights, and then they ran as fast as they could back to their truck and everything. So, but those are the only trolls that I've actually seen. I do feel bad. I want to note this. I do feel bad for that USPS mailman because I saw him putting all those boxes there, and it was hot out, and I felt bad for him because I knew the second I started seeing all those boxes, I'm like, either his mom is kicking him out finally, or someone sent him all these boxes because I know they're free, and they're just trying to mess with him. And it ended up being that one. And sadly, the USPS man drives by every day and still sees those boxes sitting there. And they're all ruined. It's snowed on them. It's rained. Like they're all destroyed, and they're just globs of trash now. And it's gonna just attract mice and whatever. But I do feel bad for that mailman. He had to drop all those off, make the effort, and do that in a day. And then it was multiple days too, by the way. He dropped off the first load the first day, and then the second day he came back with more. And I did feel bad for him.
Oh, I would too. And speaking of that, do people send him stuff as a joke often, as far as you've seen?
No. Like the boxes is the biggest one, and I think I've heard him talk about some package that he got left on his porch, and he was yelling about how something was a troll, but I didn't know what it was or anything. I didn't know. I didn't get my eyes on it or anything, but most of the stuff that he gets though is either Amazon or for his paracord stuff allegedly, and his mom has yelled at him a couple times for going out to the mailbox multiple times, checking stuff, and he's like saying it's for his business and whatever, and but there's like nothing there in the mailbox. It's like he's waiting for something. But
Okay. Okay.
other than that, though, like most of his stuff stays on his porch. Like right now, there's been apple juice on his porch for the last 2 days now, and hasn't been touched. Like a whole gallon of apple juice is sitting there.
S- Does he usually leave trash on his porch?
Yeah, every time, and typically it's the wind blows it over, and that's how it gets off of the porch.
Okay, and it just kind of piles up. Does he ever take care of that, or?
No, he doesn't. He either his aunt comes by once a week and makes him clean up stuff, or he just never does it.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Um, I wanted to ask this earlier. I know we talked about the fire department coming when his mom needs to get up the ramp, and that one agent that came by. But were there any other instances of any kind of law enforcement or government presence at his residence?
Not that I've seen. No, those the only thing that I've seen is the fire department. I was at work and my wife saw the mom get pulled out of the home when she OD'd in a blanket. They
Jesus.
couldn't fit a chair in the house at the time, so they had to lay her down, put her on a blanket, and carry her out with a blanket.
Hmm.
Um, so the ambulance, fire department, the agent, those are the only people I've really seen at the house.
Hmm. And Nova said that it was on weed. Was that right?
That's what he said. I don't know if I believe it because in Idaho it's illegal to smoke weed, so
Hmm.
she would be in jail. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I I don't know if I believe him on that
Okay.
entirely. It could have been where she fell or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
The fact that she was in rehab for 30 days, I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really heard of anyone overdosing on weed either, so that is
Yeah.
interesting, yeah. Is there any other notable instances you haven't mentioned yet?
Not really, to be honest. I think the biggest thing is just the house is just so nasty
Hmm.
that I don't know how it hasn't been cleaned up more. I just don't know how he like doesn't take the initiative to clean it because
Hmm.
there's so many like I can't see the flies or anything, but in the videos that he posts, I can
Hmm.
just see the flies in his videos, like the one he saw or the one I saw him catching like a gnat in his like rice bowl.
Yeah, mashed
Like that one
potatoes.
just completely grossed me out.
Yeah. There was
But
also one where he drank it in a cup of milk. God, yeah, it's. Have you seen any?
yeah,
I was thinking, yeah, with the wet cardboard and whatnot, maybe like termites would. Do you know anything maybe about that?
I hope not. I haven't seen any termites or anything. The biggest thing is the mice.
Mm.
They have a shed on the side of their house that is like somewhat cracked at the bottom, and there's apparently a whole bunch of junk. I've never seen it opened before, but
Mhm.
I've been told there's a whole bunch of trash and stuff in there and storage stuff, and uh, the wasps are just there must be like a huge nest in there because they are just surrounding that whole area, and because they know no one's been over there. And his backyard is also another story. It's super messy back there.
Mhm.
There's even like there's two chairs that face back to back, and it's like whatever way the sun is, he'll face away from it or something. So
Yeah.
he'll sit in either one in the summertime. But all of his DoorDash meals and all the food testing that he has on TikTok, he doesn't
Mhm.
throw that trash away. He just sits in his backyard. So it just attracts more rodents and whatever. But there's a last summer or fall, I should say, he had a tent in his backyard. It was very weird. It was just like a random tent in his backyard. I never saw him in it, but it was set up like he was hanging out in it at one time. But this winter, it got completely collapsed and demolished by the wind and snow. So,
Wow.
um, but
Mhm.
other than that, though, I don't really know too much about Nova. I've been trying to be nice to him because I don't want him to retaliate or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I know he's probably going to see this and probably thinks I'm like a troll or whatever. But I'm to me, I just want if he did something wrong on the internet, I hope he's convicted of it. You know, like
Yes,
I'm
for
not saying he
sure.
did it. I'm not big into internet stuff, but
Yeah.
from the stuff that I've seen and all the stuff I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
I hope he is convicted of something
Yeah.
soon because I don't want that around my family.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. One thing I forgot to ask you to elaborate on the very beginning. You mentioned that people come to impound your vehicles mistakenly or something along those lines.
Yeah. So this was when his mom was in rehab when this individual came in. So the aunt had the car. It wasn't for that car though; it was a different car, and I've never seen this car before. But
Mm-hmm.
the impound official came by and asked me if I've seen this vehicle in that driveway at any time because he was going to impound it because they haven't been paying bills. And I told him no, I have not seen that vehicle ever. And he thanked me for letting him know, and that's basically all I've heard. And I haven't seen him since, but I do know there is an impound official trying to find one of a car that belonged to that residence.
Okay. Okay. I understand. Well, I appreciate you coming on and, telling me all this. It's very, very, very informative. I'm like still kind of shocked by some of the things I've heard.